Welcome back to Poor Man's Bonsai. Today I'm going to be doing an update and trimming of this boxwood that you've seen in some previous videos, so stay tuned. So I love this boxwood. I have had it for probably 3 years and in this pot for the length of that time. And I've done a couple different videos on it and it is just doing super well. It's taking to trimming really well. And this is a great example of how if you want to develop a tree faster, it's sometimes better to put it in a bigger pot, or oftentimes better to put it in a bigger pot or even in the ground and allow the roots to reach further, grab more nutrients, absorb more water, do all the things that plants need to do to really pop out the foliage. And so, it's doing so well that honestly I'm a little afraid to ever repot this thing, just because it seems to be really liking this pot that it's in. But nonetheless, today I'm gonna do a trimming of it because it needs that, and it's pretty amazing. I was going back and looking at old videos of this thing, and it's come a long way. It's pretty fun to see where it first started and where the first video that I posted of this, sort of what it looked like, and a lot more bare than this. So it's doing really well. So what I'm gonna do is kind of what I've done in previous videos, and I'll just do this fairly quickly because you sort of know the drill if you've seen the other videos by now. But I don't want to cut too far down on any of these branches because sometimes, like even this guy right here, so I'm going to try to expose that. This is a branch that was maybe trimmed too far down, and so it actually hasn't sprouted any leaves from there. It's a dead branch now. And so sometimes that will happen with boxwoods if you trim too far down on a branch. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to play a little bit safer today. So here it is before. So pretty full, but a little out of control, a little disproportionate to the trunk. And then we'll see what we can make it look like. So let's start by, I'm going to keep it within the green parts of the branches because I feel like that's a safe bet, and that will hopefully ensure that this will split off from where I've cut it and allow more branches to form and more leaves to bud. But boxwoods are great for those of you just getting into bonsai. These are one of the best bonsais because, well, any plant could be a best bonsai, so that's subjective, but these are great because they have smaller leaves and they portray that miniature tree look. And without too much work because the leaves are smaller. So once you get a tree to start looking developed and mature, they give off that miniature tree look because of how small they are. So you can see already I've kind of got these two distinct sides, and this isn't taking very long. It really doesn't take that long to do the trimmings you want. Now, if you're going to be doing drastic stuff that are going to greatly change the shape or style of the tree, I recommend taking a lot of time and really thinking that through. But today I'm just trimming, and it looks like I'm trimming a lot, but it's just grown a lot in the last year, and so it's been quite some time since I've trimmed this. If you saw in my update video I posted it a little while ago, my wife and I are parents now, and there was a long season where I wasn't able to really be out here near as much working with my plants, so a lot of them need some TLC. But this one's been doing great just by me watering it and not doing much else. So you can see I'm just working my way across, and it's good to occasionally stop and kind of observe what it's looking like. And I'll do some close-up shots of the structure of this plant because it's got some really cool roots, and the trunk is pretty cool too. So I'll go ahead and trim this some more. In boxwoods, I've been able to sometimes successfully plant the clippings, so it's always worth a try. You can get some root hormone, or you can even try just sticking it in the ground, maybe trimming back a little bit of the bark, sticking it in the ground and seeing if it will sprout some roots. Sometimes they will. You can do that with a lot of different plants actually. So alright, working our way across. Hopefully this is all still in the frame. So what I recommend, this has just worked for me, is sometimes I'll work my way across and I won't go as extreme, and then I might do a second pass and cut it closer, cut some branches closer. It's just a way that I like to play it safe sometimes in case I feel like I'm going to accidentally cut too much off. I'm going to go in and cut off the dead parts of the trunk that I know aren't going to be of any use. I know they're not coming back. And clear out the cobwebs. Like I said, it's been a while since I've worked on this plant. It's funny, there's actually this dangling branch here that is still alive because it somehow is still able to get its sap, get some sap to it and keep the leaves alive, but I'm going to go ahead and cut that off because I don't know how long that will actually be able to keep that up. So I'm looking at it now and you can see here, so it's sort of sloping up like this, and I want this to be a little bit more evenly tight. I'd rather have the crown or the peak be here, not on the side. So I'm going to take this side and trim these down a bit. So I'll kind of face at least what I would call for now the front of the tree, but depends on which side you like more. So start working my way down and try to even that out to where it's not this high side and low side. So this is sort of what I'm talking about, where I'll often do a second pass and tighten it up. This is such a interesting hobby because it takes so much patience. I mean, it's like you trim a plant and then you gotta wait a while before you start seeing some changes. And so you can understand why it becomes so easy to start accumulating a bunch of different plants, because you want to be able to focus on some other plants when you're waiting for a different one to grow. So this branch here has got hardly anything on it. I doubt this is going to work, but I'll just cut it back halfway because it was still green. Cut it back halfway and see if that sprouts up. Cut that off. I'm going to bring some of these thicker ones that are still green, so hopefully it doesn't backfire on me. Bring some of those a little bit lower. Eventually I'm probably going to want to do some wiring on this to start, because you can see right now it's still a little bit higher here, but if I were to lower these branches, some of these branches, and start spreading them out, making them look a little bit more sprawled, like an old mature tree, then that could work. One of the fun things I like about boxwoods is that they kind of remind me of a miniature, like old live oak, or some kind of oak that's just real thick trunk and broad, wide spreading branches, and so I feel like you can get sort of that look with a boxwood over time. So I really like how that looks. I'm gonna go through and just trim a few more little guys, and so I think we're pretty much there. I think it's a good stopping point for now for this guy. So you can see quite a bit different. If you remember, it was very tall. Branches were very tall and reaching, and a lot more wispy if you ran your fingers through it. Now you can tell we're getting to some of the more thicker branches, and hopefully they'll keep back budding and creating more leaves. So I'm gonna do some close-ups and show you what it looks like a little closer up.